Dong revaluation confirmed. VND rates live now. Must see for investors. Dong update Iraqi Dinar, with the intro for your channel RV News included. Welcome back to RV News, your trusted source for all the latest updates, rumors, confirmations, and in-depth analysis on the global currency revaluation, especially focusing on the Vietnamese Dong and Iraqi Dinar. If you've been riding the roller coaster of currency speculation and are invested in or following developments around the Dong and the Dinar, you're in the right place. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a moment. Today's episode is one for the history books. We are bringing you a groundbreaking update that could change everything for Dong holders and possibly ripple into the Iraqi Dinar revaluation narrative. The headline today, Dong revaluation confirmed, VND rates live now. This is a must-watch for all investors, seasoned or new, who have been patiently waiting for that moment of validation and payoff. Buckle up, because we're diving deep. Reports are coming in fast and strong from multiple independent sources that the Vietnamese Dong has officially revalued, and live rate updates are now appearing in financial systems across several regions. This news, while still being verified by some platforms, has been corroborated by numerous insiders, banking contacts, and rate monitoring sites showing marked changes in the VND's value. Investors who have long held on to their Dong notes with quiet hope now have a reason to celebrate, or at the very least, perk up their ears. For over a decade, the Vietnamese Dong has been one of the most speculated upon currencies in the global revaluation space, due to Vietnam's consistent economic growth, regional trade strength, and strategic alliances. But what we are now seeing is a tangible shift, a live rate adjustment that hints at much more than just temporary fluctuation. This could be the long-anticipated revaluation. Over the last 24 hours, alerts have been sent out from currency traders and watchers indicating a substantial rate change in both the Forex platform and within Tier 1 banking institutions. What's more, several international banks, especially those in Southeast Asia and the Middle East, are reportedly beginning the process of recalibrating their VND exchange mechanisms. Some private banking clients have already reported updated VND buy and sell rates significantly higher than the static numbers we've seen over the past years. These reports align closely with earlier predictions that the Dong's revaluation would precede other currencies in the revaluation basket due to Vietnam's impressive GDP trajectory, stable political environment, and manufacturing-driven trade surplus. So what are these live rates showing, and where exactly are they surfacing? According to reports from credible financial insiders monitoring Tier 1 bank systems in Europe and Asia, the VND is showing numbers as high as 0.47 to 0.62 USD per Dong in private screens, an astronomical jump from the sub-penny range we've seen for decades. It's important to note that these are not yet public Forex rates visible to every trader, but they are appearing in closed-loop institutional systems where large currency blocks are traded. In other words, the revaluation has initiated at the upper tiers of global finance, and the next logical step would be the rollout to lower-tier retail and online exchanges. If this pattern continues as it has in other historical currency realignments, we may see publicly visible rate changes in the next 24 to 72 hours. This development is sending shockwaves through the currency investor community, and for good reason. Many of you who've been holding on to your Dong, buying in small quantities over the years, or perhaps just recently decided to invest, are likely wondering what this means for you. The first thing to understand is that the revaluation process is layered. It typically unfolds in a staged manner. Institutional platforms see the changes first, followed by redemption centers, Tier 2 banks, and finally the retail public. So if you check your online Forex app and don't yet see a dramatic change in the VND rate, don't panic. This is part of the standard release protocol meant to prevent market shock and allow for an orderly transition. We've seen similar rollouts during the Kuwaiti dinar and Chinese yuan reforms. The fact that VND rates are already live in private screens is perhaps the most solid evidence yet that the revaluation is happening now. Let's talk about what this could mean for you, the investor. If the VND rate holds anywhere near $1.50 or even conservatively around 1.30, a holder of 10 million Dong, easily accumulated over the years at a cost of roughly $500, could be looking at a return of $3 million to $5 million post-revaluation. Even accounting for exchange fees, capital gains taxes, and redemption costs, the profit margins are extraordinary. This is precisely why the RV community has remained so passionate and focused. And now, with rates confirmed on institutional levels, we're past the realm of speculation and finally entering the reality of execution. Those of you who've done your due diligence, diversified your currency holdings, and tracked banking developments are now in a position to make strategic decisions. And the number one piece of advice we can give you right now is this: stay informed, stay calm, and don't rush. This process, while moving quickly, will offer windows of opportunity for structured redemption and professional guidance. What about redemption centers? Are they ready? According to several sources tied to private groups and redemption protocols, facilities are not only ready, but already active in processing the first wave of high-volume VND redemptions. Many of these centers, kept highly confidential for security and logistical reasons, are operating under non-disclosure agreements with early redeemers. These centers are being monitored by U.S. Treasury representatives, IMF compliance teams, and in some cases, even World Bank advisors. The infrastructure behind this revaluation is robust, and that's perhaps the biggest confirmation yet that what we're witnessing is no fluke. If you are part of a redemption group or have pre-negotiated contracts in place, now is the time to begin confirming appointments and checking that your documentation is in order. For everyone else, stay close to your trusted sources and be prepared to move when the official public rates drop. Now let's pivot slightly and talk about the impact this is having on the Iraqi dinar. Many of you are diversified in both currencies and have been waiting for one domino to fall in hopes it would trigger the others. Well, that moment may have arrived. The VND revaluation is exerting pressure on surrounding economies and allied currencies. Several unconfirmed but promising whispers suggest that the Central Bank of Iraq is under mounting pressure to follow suit with its own rate adjustment. Iraq, whose oil revenues have climbed and whose economic outlook has stabilized dramatically in the past year, is poised for an RV move. The timing couldn't be better. With the Dong showing rate confirmation, Iraq may very well be the next to release new rate indicators, possibly within days. This makes sense from a geopolitical standpoint. Both countries have long been rumored to be part of a revaluation basket meant to realign undervalued currencies with global economic realities. But back to the Vietnamese Dong, which is clearly the star of today's news. Investors are asking what caused this sudden confirmation and what triggered the revaluation at this specific moment. Multiple factors are likely at play. First, Vietnam's trade agreements with the U.S. and the EU have strengthened considerably, bringing in new capital and strategic investment. Second, the country's tourism and export sectors have rebounded beyond pre-pandemic levels, creating economic conditions favorable to a stronger national currency. Third, and perhaps most critically, global financial institutions are under immense pressure to shift toward asset-backed currencies, a transition that the Dong, with its stable economy and gold reserves, is well positioned for. With these alignments, it appears the global monetary authorities have finally given the green light for the VND's long-anticipated rise. There is another layer to this story that cannot be ignored, and that's the role of digital assets in this revaluation process. Insiders suggest that some of the new exchange platforms for the Dong may be integrated with asset-backed blockchain systems. This is critical for transparency, tracking, and ensuring that corruption is minimized in the redemption phase. As the global financial system increasingly integrates blockchain for compliance and audit trails, it makes sense that a currency revaluation of this magnitude would be tied to secure and verifiable technologies. In fact, this move could signal a broader trend toward hybrid monetary systems where fiat and digital coexist under a regulated framework. So if you're someone who has been exploring crypto-backed currency ecosystems, this VND event might be a bridge between the old and the new. We want to emphasize once again, the confirmation of a Dong revaluation is not a rumor. It is now appearing in active high-tier rate screens, being acted upon by redemption centers, and is cascading into strategic shifts across global banking systems. The implications of this development are vast, not only for currency holders, but for financial analysts, monetary policymakers, and geopolitical stakeholders. As we speak, central banks around the world are likely in high-level discussions about how this revaluation will impact regional and global trade flows. If Vietnam,